Hey, this is Matt Wenning at winningstrength.com. Modify, don't miss. And today we're talking magic reps. Is there a perfect rep range? It's a hard question. A lot of people would, die over a certain rep range. But let's get to it and let me tell you my opinion. Okay, so first thing we need to understand is, are we going heavy, are we going quick, or are we doing stuff till failure or fatigue? I think that's the big question we need to ask. Which stage of training are we in? Are we in max effort, dynamic effort, or repetition method, right? Those things are huge and they're a big question that you need to ask yourself. Now, I'm not saying that you need to train conjugate training, but think about what I'm saying is that, are you training getting stronger, getting quicker, and getting bigger? If you're not, or you're missing one of those key components, eventually it will catch up to you. So if you're always training, say, fives, for example, there's going to be big benefits and big detriments to that, which we'll get to in other videos. But let's talk about magic reps. Well, if you're a raw lifter like I was the last 5-8 years of my competition days, or for most people that train in a gym, your biggest bet is probably going to be around fives. And the reason is if you're doing squatting and deadlifting and bench pressing in the fives, you're kind of in that hybrid range of strength and hypertrophy. You're going to have to work out hard enough in each set to develop some real structural change, but you're close enough to singles in order to start developing strength. Now, it doesn't mean you can use fives all the time, but fives, in my opinion, for raw lifters are crucial. Now, if we look at max effort, for example, and going heavy, my favorite thing to compete with or try to train with and get ready for competitions is twos and threes. Twos and threes are double or triple the workload of singles, which is easy to figure out. But the point is that you're still getting enough stimulation to actually make a neurological and physiological change. The point is that singles, if you're an equipped lifter and you utilize a lot of suits and gear, you might need singles in order to adapt yourself to utilizing perfect technique and equipment, right? It's more of a skill than it is actual strength. And I hate to say that to you guys, but hey, I broke world records in gear. And I loved when I did that. But the point is that learning to utilize gear is a little bit more of a skill and may require more singles. Also, if you look at it, a single in equipment tends to be 2 to 3 times longer than raw if you're doing a max effort 1 rep max. Why? Well, you're having to stretch the shirt or you're having to stretch the squat suit to go down. So on my 1197.6 squat, it probably took me around 6 to 7 seconds to hit the floor and then come back up. I never did that raw. Raw, maybe 2.5 to 3.5 seconds. Point is that a 1 rep max in equipment is a lot longer than a 1 rep max in raw. So I think raw in training, I never really pushed past doubles. So when I did the 870 all-time world record raw, I did 850 for a double. Never went to a single. And the reason is I think it developed that work capacity a little bit more. So if we look at the math here, if I say do 500 for 3, that's 1,500 pounds. If I do 550 for 1, it's only 550. The point is that over time, that 500 for 3 is going to have more neurological and physiological changes, in my opinion. The next rep range we have to look at is speed. And this is where everybody messes up a lot with jumps and speed work. In speed work, what your main goal is to try to match the time in which it takes to do a 1 rep max if you're trying to be a very strong lifter. That means that if you're doing plyometrics, you don't need to do more than 1 or 2, maybe 3 jumps in one set. Same thing holds true with speed squats, speed benching, and speed deadlifting. You don't really need to do it till fatigue. And that's the other problem, is that there's a rep range that makes fatigue. And if you're doing speed work and you're doing your speed work for, say, a crazy amount of reps, like sets of 10, by the time you get to 5 or 6, you're actually decreasing your velocity or your power, which is teaching your body to train in a conserved state. So I think that's where a lot of people get confused is on speed day, you need to keep the reps very, very small and the sets higher in order to maintain quality of contraction, okay? And that has a lot to do with max effort too, but for speed work, it's crucial. Meaning that if you have the reps too high in each set, you're gonna be fatigued and probably create either bad motor patterns or not as much power as you possibly should. So as you can see, there's some validity to doing 2s and 3s as well for speed. Now we look at the higher rep ranges. So a lot of people ask us, Matt, why do you do 25 if you're a powerlifter for rep ranges for the Wenning warm-up? Well, the big crucial factor is capacity. So if I do 25 reps, there's 2 things it does. 1, it gets me in amazing shape And two, it lowers down the ability for me to do anything intensive. So the intense training, if I pump the 25 up, I can't train that intense. I can't do, say, 500 on squats for 25 for 4 rounds. I'd be dead. So it forces the intensity lower and it forces the capacity higher. So that is another reason why we have it up in 25s. Also, if you think about all the other things that we just talked about, 25 reps is vastly different than 5s and 3s and 2s, right? It's not that typical powerlifting type level, or rep range. So the point is it put me way out of my comfort zone. It made me do things at a lighter intensity. So as you can see, there are valid reasons to do stuff at a higher rep range. Now, another thing that you can think about too is utilizing tempos. So everybody thinks that there's a magic rep scheme. There's really not. You can utilize, say, a 3 rep max and make it way harder than doing 5s if you say a 3-3 tempo, which means 3 seconds down, 3 seconds up. That's not really 3 reps anymore. That's some kind of hybrid crazy shit of doing a long contraction of a movement. So the point is there's all these factors that make different rep ranges. So let's reiterate. If I were to try to do a rep range that I thought was magical for the raw lifter, my opinion would be, and I had to pick one, it would be 5, right? We're right in the middle of hypertrophy and strength. If I was trying to get super, super fast and quick and transfer over to sport, I would do 2s, maybe 3s, okay? I'm gonna have those rep ranges short enough to where I'm not training under fatigue and I'm able to be insanely explosive, recover and repeat. Sounds a lot like football, right? So if we rest a minute, minute and a half, and then we do another set, minute and a half, do another set, very similar to like a football drive. For you football coaches out there that still train the mile and think that that's gonna help anybody, it won't. Now, the other side of that is 25s and higher. Now, the reason for that is that work capacity becomes a huge issue for all different types of sport. So what you need to realize is that there is no magic rep number. It depends on what your goals are, and it depends also what your outcome needs to be. For most people, they need more muscle mass, they need to get stronger, and they need to get quicker, which is going to come back down to you need the 3 variables of training. So I hope this helps. I hope it kind of opens your eyes a little bit to understanding that you need various rep ranges. And go check out the manuals, join Patreon if you have any questions on this, and we'll talk to you guys later.